Okay, folks, this is a quick as possible walkthrough of Space for Yourself. And if you have not received the product yet, you might not have had a chance to look through it. And even if you have, this is going to give you an orientation to the product, a little bit of thinking that went into the product, and some of the quick ways that you can use it as well. So just bear with us as we do this walkthrough, and you can fast forward to any part that you want. So let's start with the overall idea here, which was pretty interesting. We had so many different prototypes for Space for Yourself. It's amazing. One of these days we'll do, if you guys want, we will do a separate video showing you all the different versions that we had. And that's not in this video, but we will give you a quick view of the fact that before we had this purple box, and when you open up your package, you'll see there's this box in this journal. But before that, we had this black box. And the black box, this is an old prototype, it's kind of beat up, had a black and white interior, and it was very, very different. It had astronauts instead of the crew members that we have today. We wanted to show you this version as how far we've come, but you should see this stuff even before this. But anyway, what comes in the mail for you is one box here on your left that says Follow Yourself on it, and then this accompanying guided journal. And one thing that we really, really focused on and we wanted to do with the box especially was to have the box, since we knew it was going to be in your personal space, part of your life, we wanted it to be something special, something that was lively, something that was playful in color, and something that felt special and felt like when you opened it, you'd open up your own mind in a way. So when you do open the box, you'll see that there's this orange and cream colored sides to the box. And that's supposed to represent the dark side and light side within you, within your mind. And you'll also notice that there's even these little ribbons that are opposite color on each side. And part of our thinking there from a product design perspective was to put a little bit of yin yang, a little bit of light in the dark, a little bit of dark in the light, little touches like that are interesting that you'd never know on our product page. You'll also see that there's a number of magnet secure points. There's these 4 up at the top, these 2 here in the middle, and then there's a couple in the front. We're going to come back to that part as we move into the rest of this walkthrough, but we just want to let you know that that's a part of the product. So when you open up the box, you'll see there's these 2, there's this light side and dark side deck. We're going to take out the pieces now so that you can see all the pieces that come when you open your package for the first time. There's these 2 decks of light and dark. There's a reality check deck that is tucked underneath one of the light side. And actually inside is a book. There's a field guide book that fits neatly inside. Lots of pieces here. And of course, for those of you who also have the guided journal as part of an entire kit, there is the guided journal here on Mai's right as well. And it does come with a couple of magnets too, which we'll come back to later. So that's a good view of all the pieces that come with Space for Yourself. And actually one last note on the box, which is a little insider piece of information here, is that we were inspired. Mai is from Vietnam, and as we were designing the product, we were celebrating Lunar New Year. And this is actually one of it's inspired by one of the boxes that's given as gifts to people for Lunar New Year in Vietnam. So there's something for that. Maybe only if you're Vietnamese and have experience with Lunar New Year, you might know. Okay, well, let's do a little bit of touring of the product. So to do that, why don't we start with the cards? And to do that, maybe we'll make a little space on the desk and look at each of these 2 main primary crew member decks or parts of yourself. And you'll notice there, as Mai turns over these top 2 cards, that there is a light and a dark description of what that means. And you'll also notice that the backs of those two cards have a black and white backing, and that follows the rest of the cards in the two decks, as you can see as she turns these over. Now, we understand that nothing is cut and so clear that way, that there's parts of you that may lean a little bit more dark or may lean a little bit more light. And so we think of these as dark or light leaning, but not necessarily strictly defined. Some people may look at their hermit part of themselves as being a little bit darker or lighter. And that's fine. Whatever it is for you is okay. This is just more of an indication. So we welcome you, as Maya's doing here, to take your time when you first get the product and just familiarize yourself with your crew members, the different parts of you here. All of them have descriptions on the back as well. So that could take you some time, actually, to just go through all of these cards. But they, one of the things we really wanted to do is spend time on representing a diverse group of people. We understand there's not a lot of masculine or male type depictions here, but that was on purpose. But what we did want to do is show as much as we could in terms of age, ethnicity. We tried to get as much design around the foil stamping to match the cards. You'll notice that a lot of those are different through the deck, to just really try to highlight the part and have you create an emotional connection with them while you're using them. So while Maya's doing this, maybe she can pull out the reality check deck and leave these other cards in front of her. Because what we wanted to do, as we started to design the product, we started with just the crew member cards. And then we realized, man, for this to be a standalone product, we needed it to last for a long time, and we need to be able to go in and out of the product in fast and longer ways so that you could use it quickly, you could use it in deeper work as well. So the first thing we did was add this reality check deck as a faster way to engage with the product. And inside you'll find 52 different prompt questions. And these are the white cards. The black cards that Maya is showing you are the kind of challenge cards. So an example of a challenge would be something like give a speech out loud as one of your parts or crew members. Whereas the white cards are quick prompt questions, things like which parts of you do you want others to feel more? So you might just flip to that card randomly and say, well, which part of me do I want others to feel more? And you pick up, one of the crew card decks and flip through that and find one. And that's a fast way of just checking in on different parts of yourself very, very quickly. And that's the intent of the reality check deck. So we invite you to play with that as much as you can. And also, you'll hear me say this many times, but give us feedback, because we want to continue to work on these products and make them better and actually include as much of your feedback and ideas as possible. So maybe what we can do now is before we move off of the cards, I do want to mention that some of you may have noticed that in with the rest of these cards are some special ones that are blank cards. And these blank cards are blank on purpose. Some people may have thought, oh, you guys forgot to print these. But the reason that they're blank is, and as for some of you who might decide to take the master class, you'll see that we have a lot, and we got this request also when we were in development, of people who want to be able to create their own crew members that aren't represented on the cards that we provide, that they want to be able to develop what they look like, what their name is, what their description is. So that's why we included some of these blank cards for you guys. All right. So those are the cards. And the next thing maybe we should talk about is the field guide, the Follow Yourself, How to Follow Yourself field guide. So as Mai puts these aside and pulls that forward, maybe I can tell you a little bit about how this field guide came to be. We started with normal instructions, And we thought, wow, these instructions are pretty dense and there's a lot to them. And how can we make something that is a lot more kind of fun and engaging and playful? We weren't sure exactly how to do that. We experimented with lots of different things. And ultimately, we decided to try to break it up as much as possible with hand illustrations and try to bring it to life. So you'll notice that this field guide has got all sorts of different sections beyond just how to use the product. It's got the story of how things were, how this all came to be here in the beginning of the book. Um, there's a part of the book that talks about, it's kind of a comic book to set the stage of of situations that we're all in, where we have to decide which way we want to go in life. There's an orientation to a lot of the big ideas that are in the book, including the box and some special cards that you may want to consider. And there's an overall orientation to, like, what are these parts? What are these crew members? Where do they come from? How does all this sit from a contextual perspective? And so we tried to make that as interesting as possible. Very curious what you guys think of these sections here. And then we were like, okay, well, let's make the instructions somewhat interesting as well. And what you're going to notice here is there's, I think there's something like 4 or 5 different main chapters that have to do with how to use the product. This is more on the instructions side. And this chapter 3 starts with how to use with yourself. And you'll notice that in the instructions here that each chapter has, I think, something like 3 or 4 different activities or exercises, 20 exercises in total. And each exercise, we tried to break down into, steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then have a little bit of written exercises when they're done. And these chapters, after how to use with yourself, you'll notice that there's a chapter on how to use with I think it's with a partner is the next chapter. We'll see if I'm right or not. How to use with a partner. And after how to use with a partner, it's how to use with, I believe, friends. Yep. And how to use with family. And how to use with coworkers too, which is interesting. Some of you might know we have another product, Space for Work, which is an entire product built around this idea. And then in the back of the field guide, you'll notice there's a little bit of background on why this works, how the science behind some of this, what it's based on. And overall, it's just hopefully a helpful overall orientation plus ways of using this for many years to come. And when we were done with this part of the product, we felt like it was never going to end. We just kept adding more and more to the product. And one of the things that we recognized in coaching people and working with people is that people express themselves in so many different ways. They really do. And what's really important is that you do express yourself. So where, a lot of this parts play work comes from vocalizing out loud, we wanted to accommodate folks who wanted to express themselves more in a written form. So what we did was we took chapter 3, actually, in the field guide, and we said, okay, what if we created a guided journal? And the guided journal would take people even more slowly through the exercises with lots of examples. There wasn't a lot of room for that in the book, where we could give them a space to really express the different things that were coming up for them and follow along in the exercises of chapter 3. So you'll see here, there's all kinds of bonus stuff in here, like emotion wheels, and lots of space to quickly reference maybe which crew members you're working on, and as many examples as we could for the exercises. So each one of the exercises in the book have this, and there's plenty of blank pages too for you to journal in. So the journal will take you through that entire chapter 3 in lots and lots of detail. And I remember we were sitting one time, Mai and I were sitting and talking, and we thought, well, how about a little bit of bonus material towards the end of the journal that would help people think about what sort of topics maybe to focus on in their life. So we have these different categories that might spark some ideas around things that you can spend some energy on. And there's even an area of the book that help you reframe some of the topics that are going on in your life. And so the guided journal, for those of you who bought the kit with the journal, some of you may have bought the kit without the journal, but this is a quick introduction to it. And it's a great companion product for space for yourself. So that's the journal. Lastly, what I wanted to do is, before we move off the journal, is hit on 2 more points, which is that when Mai and I were using the prototypes of this product, we thought, wow, there's kind of a lot to carry around. And I don't really always want to carry everything around with me. So what can we do to make it a little bit portable? So what we did for that was, you'll notice when Mai was going through the journal, there's a couple of ribbons to keep your place. There's also a rubber band that you can use to secure the journal. So what we like to do is to take some of the cards, some of the crew members that are important for the work we're doing that day, and just put them inside and use the elastic band to secure everything and throw it in our backpack or our bag with us on a commute wherever we're going, on a plane. So that was the thinking for that. The other thing that we really love to do, and I definitely watched Mai do this a lot when we were developing this product, is that she would always pick a card or 2 cards that were important for that day or even that week. And she would always have them displayed around the house. And we thought, it'd be so cool, like we talked about in the very beginning of this video, to have the box double as a display for the crew members that you want out in your space as reminders. It's kind of a little ritual box. So that's the way we designed it. And so you guys can, there's a couple of magnets that come with it, but all of us have extra magnets around the house usually. So you can use as many as you want. We tried to put as many extra magnet points as we could on the box. And we've gotten some pictures from you guys that have shown really beautiful displays where you've secured the cards in really beautiful ways and in really beautiful spaces too. So, by the way, extra points for anyone that sends a picture of how they have things set up and posts it here in the community. Anyway, we hope this has been a informative, albeit mildly brief walkthrough of everything. And please, again, let us know how things are going with you, any ideas you have for improving the actual physical product. And we love that kind of feedback. In the meantime, we will see you here in the community. Bye-bye.